Canadians are going to the polls in about 5.5 weeks to elect a new federal government. We've seen the first few days of the campaign. Each of the leaders is trying to gain their footing. They're throwing out their first jabs. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what's happened, what they're saying, what they're doing, what it means, and is it working? So looking at the background, a couple of things that no one can deny. If an election was held today, right today, the Liberals would win. Okay, that was kind of unheard of just a few weeks ago, but yeah, all the polls indicate, and they're confirmed on every side you want to, regardless of any error in poll, if an election were held today, the Liberals would win. That's fact number one. But that's offset by fact number two. That swing from the 24-point conservative lead to the Liberals being firmly in the lead shows point number two, that the Canadian political landscape is extremely volatile. If it can make a swing that drastic in such a short period of time, then anything could happen in the next 5 weeks. So keeping up on it, of what's happening and following it and understanding it is going to be critical because it could be changing. So what have we got going on here? First of all, there's little doubt, as far as the prime ministership and being the governing party, it is a two-man race. It is between the Liberal Party with Mark Carney and the Conservative Party with Pierre Poilievre. The other parties have various amounts, but none of them has any chance whatsoever, even with the biggest swing you could imagine, of forming a government. So we're going to focus a lot of our talk about those two parties and those two men, and make the occasional reference to the other ones because they are important. I'm not diminishing their value in any way, shape, or form. But what we're looking at is a Carney-Poilievre smackdown. And yeah, they started the week just hitting each other hard. And they've got a few things. I mean, Poilievre is running to the middle. He's just desperately running to the middle. The polls turned on him for a couple of reasons. Number one, when Donald Trump got elected and started threatening Canada, he didn't react as the way most Canadians would have wanted him to. And that hurt him. But even more concerning than that, it also seemed that the more Canadians learned about him, the less popular he was. Almost all polls are showing that Canadians don't like him. And he's trying really hard to redefine himself to be a nice guy. He's smiling more, he's talking, he's trying to be friendly. Because he's been known as an attack dog and a nasty character, and Canadians don't like that. So his challenge is to change how people perceive him. He also needs to change the way the public perceives Mark Carney, because they have a very positive view of him. And, Poilievre is throwing, and his campaign are throwing all kinds of things out there, trying to drag Carney down. What have they tried? First, they tried the unelected, undemocratic prime minister. He never got elected by anyone, and he's the prime minister. That's the most undemocratic thing we've ever seen. Poppycock, and Poilievre knows that, okay? The Canadian parliamentary system works in such a way that whichever party has the most seats, the leader of their party becomes the prime minister. We don't elect a prime minister. Prime ministers are not elected by anybody. The prime minister is the leader of the party that holds the most seats in the federal parliament. And Mark Carney won the leadership of the Liberal Party. He is the leader of the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party holds the most seats. Therefore, he is the prime minister. There's nothing undemocratic about it. This happened in the past. But once again, Poilievre and his people are desperate to find something to, slam the reputation and hurt Carney. Then they came up with this: he stole the seat from an existing Liberal member of Parliament. When you do become the prime minister and you don't have a seat, it's expected that the next chance you have, you will run for a seat in House of Commons, because it is easier to be the prime minister when you do have a seat. So what's normal is a member of Parliament offers to step down and resign, and they have a by-election. They run in his name. Now, since we're going for you don't need to have a by-election because we're going to a national election. All seats are up for grabs. So Carney selected a riding where there was a very weak candidate who was causing some problems. And they decided that was the best seat for him to run in. So now you got Poilievre and everybody screaming, they stole the nomination from him. They didn't steal anything from him. The candidate is decided who the candidate is by the riding association. And they are selecting Carney. That's all there is to it. So stop with this dictatorship, undemocratic. Come on, guys. Then they're going into this conflict of interest. They keep talking about, Carney has wealth. He's been a successful businessman for many years. It's easy for Pierre Poilievre. He's a career politician. He's never had any outside interests, outside job, outside business, zero experience and zero activity on that front. But Carney has had a very active life. So now they're trying to say, but what's the conflict of interest? Because he has money. Okay. Carney has stated that he has lived up to all the laws and all the regulations and he's following them as they should be. People keep pushing him. What about this? What about that? And his answer is, look, I'm living up to all the conditions and that's it. It's not a campaign issue except for Poilievre trying to find the big hook to drag Carney down. So they're inspiring and pushing the media, trying to get them to pursue this on their behalf. And then Poilievre thought he had it. This time he had it because all of a sudden they started saying that Carney is not new. Carney has been the shadow or the invisible finance minister for the Liberal Party for 5 years. That is a blatant lie. Poilievre, his campaign, and anybody who follows politics knows it's a lie. Simple fact, 5 years ago, when there was the COVID crisis, the federal government, Justin Trudeau, called on Mark Carney for advice. They had meetings with him. How do we handle this? How do we do this? Because Carney is a great economist and knows these things. So they sought his advice at the time. That was it. He gave them advice and then went on his way doing his thing. But that's not the way the Conservatives painted in Poilievre. They're saying he has been the Liberal Party. So they keep trying to say Carney Trudeau, Carney Liberal, Carney. It's just ridiculous. It seems that the only thing Poilievre has is lies. And, him and his surrogates on the social media, they're just spreading this BS like crazy. Mark Carney has his own challenges, okay? Mark Carney is very much a centrist. He could have easily been a conservative 10, 15, 20 years ago in the days of Mulroney or other times. So he's drawing an awful lot of people who have wanted someone more in the middle. They didn't like the extremes. Of course, once again, Poilievre is trying to prove he's not the extreme, but we're talking about Carney. The risk to Carney is that he may be perceived so much in the center that he starts to lose some of the left-wing vote. You'll see that as the Liberal Party has gained, the New Democratic Party has lost a lot of support. Those were people who said, I may be a socialist, I may be a New Democrat, but I'm going to vote for Carney because we have to stop Poilievre and his extreme right-wing anarcho-capitalist agenda. So many of those people piled in, and they're liking what they see. However, if Carney goes too far as pro-business, middle-of-the-road, quasi-conservative policies, he risks losing some of that support. That's a challenge for him. And fending off the attacks of the Poilievre campaign, of course. Poilievre is distancing himself from almost every policy or every belief he's ever had. He knows that he's not doing well, and he knows he stands to lose it. So all of a sudden, he's coming out with things like, I will protect Canada Pension Plan. I will protect pharmacare, dental care, the federal dental care plan, which he has always intended to axe. Now he just came out and said he's going to maintain it. He is so desperately seeking to get elected because his life goal, the only life goal Poilievre has ever had, was to be the prime minister. He will say and do anything in order to accomplish that goal. He spent his entire life pledging that his goal in life was to dismantle government bureaucracy and what we call the social safety net. You know, he claimed all the time that private business and the free market can provide for all those services. And the only way to govern a country is by slashing all those services and getting rid of them. Balance the budget. We've got to do that. Now he's running around giving all these promises of huge tax cuts and what he's going to do. And he's not telling anybody what he's going to cut in order to pay for those things, other than some vague thing saying, we will produce a document that will show it'll be net zero neutral to the budget. BS is all I say. I call BS on you because no, when you're pledging to make these huge tax cuts, to eliminate tax cuts on capital gains, to give dramatic private individuals tax decreases, that's good. That's not a bad thing. But where is that money coming from? You're going to increase the deficit. What he's doing is he's denying everything he's ever stood for. Why? Because he's losing the election. And he will, like I said, he will say and do anything to get elected. It's kind of pathetic. Anyway, that's it for today. I want to thank you all for watching. There's an awful lot that's going on. There's an awful lot that's going to be going on in the next few weeks. So please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about this channel. Like this video. Give me your comments. I want to hear from you. Agree or disagree. I don't care. Listen, thanks a lot, and you have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. Here are a few other videos that you may enjoy. Please subscribe to the channel and come on back to watch more. This is Beyond America, Canada Looking South, the fastest growing pro-democracy, anti-Trump, never Poilievre channel on the internet.